World Financial Group offers entrepreneurs from all backgrounds the opportunity to start their own business on a level playing field. Dr. Yana Woodhouse, receiving the WCM Wall Street Pioneer Award by the United Black Wall Street of America, Inc., is one of those entrepreneurs.
I see WFG and TFA as a place where African Americans with an entrepreneurial mindset can flourish. And the bonus, we help families and serve the communities across the country.
To learn more about us, go to worldfinancialgroup.com.
We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward-thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.
Hello, and welcome to another Tuesday where we get to do what we do best, which is help you get to that next level financially. It's always a pleasure. My name is Tyrone Glover, and I am your dressed down CEO coming to you live from my location in Yonkers, New York. And this is what I do. This is it. I love it. I love it. I enjoy it. And it's all about you. This is an educational program that helps you get to that next level. And I hope that you are sitting, got your seatbelt on, got your notepad, got your pencil, got something to write with, something to write on, because I'm telling you, every single week that we come and do this, it's all about making sure that you have facts about how you should be protecting and taking care of your credit. I'm telling you, if you do these things, it's going to be rough roads, and it has already been rough roads. But if you do these things, if you apply this understanding, I'm telling you, what's going to happen is you're going to see it pay off. There's a lot of shenanigans going on. We already know that. There's a lot of trick or tomfoolery going on. We know that too. There's a lot of things going on that appears to be hindering and hurting, and not appears, but it is. It's actually hindering and hurting you. But I'm telling you, if we have the facts about what we need to put together and put that together and turn that in when we are challenging these issues, you're going to get the results that you're looking for. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. You have to put together a plan. And this is just the beginning of that plan. And it's how you take care of that credit information, that data. Because if you do that, I'm telling you, you'll have no problem whatsoever obtaining, getting everything that you want. I'm saying everything that you want. You want a palace? Got it. Because again, credit. You want a 2-room, whatever. Credit. Yes, things are going through the roof, but it's okay. It's okay. I'm just putting that out there. First and foremost, I always like to say thank you for making the time, finding the time. We're never going to do that, but I really appreciate everyone who makes the time to literally sit back and enjoy the info that you're getting. And I hope that it is enjoyable. I hope that you're really walking away, pondering the information, and then applying the information, because that's the best way to get what you're really looking for, which is to obtain equity and fairness. Well, not fairness. I'm going to remove that word, but equity when it comes to your credit understanding and how you can benefit from the things that you're already doing, paying on time, making sure that utilization is down, making sure that you're not over leveraging when it comes to inquiries, making sure that the history is correct, making sure that, again, you have a nice mix. And if you're doing that, you're going to be, again, perfectly fine. So we're going to jump right into it. But prior to that, got to give thanks to the creator, as always, because without him, none of this would be possible. And if you haven't, I want you to do me a favor. Go ahead and reach out and share this information. Go ahead and do me a solid. And I've already sent some of mine out there, but go ahead and do me that solid. Take 1 minute, do me that solid, and share. Sharing is caring. In your closest circles. You might have someone who's literally starving for some information like this. And all they were, again, just waiting for somebody to share it to them. If you're taking that time, if you're making that time, share this. So go ahead, do me that solid. Send it out to a few people in your contacts, on your Facebook. If you could do that for me, I'd be greatly appreciative. Send mine out to this one here, going live. All right. So again, thank you so much for making that time. And we're going to jump right on into it. We're going to be talking about credit scores are supposed to be race neutral. And that's impossible. So that's what we're going to be hitting on today, how credit scores are supposed to be race neutral. And I have to literally say, taking credit for this information would be almost impossible. I'm going to take credit for doing the research and making sure that all this information that you're getting is coming from top sources, double check, triple check, quadruple check, making sure that, again, and also applying what I go out and search for. I apply everything that I have to make sure that I'm giving to you, that it either is working or it's not working. So it's really important to know what and how we go through our methodical understanding of giving you that best information. And it's great when you can find sources that literally already coincide with what it is that you're already doing. It's just confirmation, validation. And that's what we really want when it comes to these understandings. So again, credit scores are supposed to be race neutral, but that's almost impossible. Why is that? Everyone should really want to know, why is it? So when we're really talking about credit scores, and it is a racial topic that always has to be discussed. I'm African American. I'm very proud to be an African American. I come from a great stock of individuals who have done fantastic things, and we're going to continue to keep doing fantastic things. But these conversations are always for the benefit of being able to say always. It's for our African Americans, it's for our Latinos, it's for those who really are struggling and suffering, it's for those poor whites, it's for those poor Asians who believe, again, you're not struggling, but you are. If you're in that 600 range, why aren't you in 700? If you're in that 800 range, why aren't you in, 700 range, why aren't you in that 800 range? So there's always more that you can be doing, but I'm specifically talking to our Blacks, our African Americans. Any advice on charge-offs and credit reports? Absolutely. I'm glad you brought up charge-offs. I'll be talking about that, but send me an email if you could. Sister Shia, Ms. Hawkins, if you could, I'd be greatly appreciative. Send me an email. Thank you. leveragecreditrecovery@gmail.com. And I will address that either after this show or at your earliest convenience. But I'll definitely respond back to that beautiful question of the charge-offs, because charge-offs are, again, a phenomenal understanding if you know how to apply it properly. Charge-off is just basically somebody saying, I am done with collecting. I'm going to allow for the taxation process that is afforded to all businesses to take place. So if that business chooses to charge that off, not saying that you are free and clear, because there is some difference, obviously, and that business has to report that. So there could be a little bit of a difference. But for the most part, if that business does that charge off, you are pretty much free and clear. And you should be able to get that off your credit report, because they would have to produce more documentation. But I'll be talking about that with you in a one-on-one, or again, I can bring that into another show. And that's a great, great, great topic to talk about. So charge-offs, definitely, if they are appearing on your credit report, you should be challenging those. You should be challenging those charge-offs. Please, please, please. If you do not know how, please get with myself through Soul City, and also as the email had appeared, leveragecreditrecovery@gmail.com. All right, so we're going to continue on with Blacks must make extraordinary effort to overcome the discrimination that is often hidden in financial policies and products that are supposed to be bias-free. So this information that we're going to be getting today really hones in on, again, our African-American population. And this is not just affecting the African-American population. We have to really throw that out there. Those of us in that Hispanic population, who think everything is gravy. It's really not. It's affecting you too. Poor white folks. Again, this is a multiracial integrated communities. We live amongst each other in multiple different facets. And to think that you're excluded when you live only a block or two away, that's ridiculous. If you knew what we know, and we want to make sure that everyone does know that. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And if they knew what we know, and this is why we do this, to make sure that we have individuals out there who are savvy, smart in passing that information on. So it's really important. We have to go through extraordinary efforts to overcome the discrimination. There's huge amounts of discrimination within this process. And we have to, again, address it. Once we address it, then it becomes our narrative. And then once we have individuals who can speak truth to power through the educational means and also the time served within that understanding, trust me, we'll get what we need. We'll get what we want. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. You have to then apply what we're asking and what we're more or less suggesting and offering. That's all it is. It's a suggestion and offer. You want to double, triple, quadruple check it, please do. But I'm telling you right now, we good. We are so good. And all you got to do is, again, think about your financial situation and apply these principles. All right, something to consider. According to the credit bureaus, experience data for the first quarter of 2020, women and men now share an average credit score of 705. All right, so if you're not in that range, and this is, again, according to Experian. Now, do I care much for these credit reporting agencies? Absolutely not, because of how they are the ones who created this problem. But why am I using their data? Because, again, it's their data, it's their information. And why not use their information to pull out what we already know that they are doing wrong? But if they happen to give us an average of 705, I'm going to pose the question of, are you at 705? Because if you are, great. That is a fantastic number to be, but you still need to get up there to about that 728. That's going to put you in a category where things will probably be around 2-3%. But why stop there? Look at what's on that credit report. Look at how you're managing those credit obligations. And if you're managing those properly, great. You got to remember, you're the CEO of your household. So you don't have a bookkeeper. You don't have a financial analysis person. You don't have all of those things that a big business would have, or even a small business. And even small businesses, again, you need this information as well, because some of those small businesses are struggling as well. And you probably shouldn't be struggling because you're not managing that business credit in that same fashion. So again, really important. If you're at 705, great area. That's the average, but we need to get obviously past the average. This is a 1 point increase for women from the second quarter of 2019, and about a 10-point increase for both groups since the second quarter of 2015. So credit scores are going up. That's a good thing. It's always a good thing. But why are so many of us still suffering from low credit scores if they're all going up on an average? So it's really something to consider. All right? Facts, not fiction. Credit reporting agencies aren't bureaus. They are for-profit billion-dollar industries. Okay? For-profit billion-dollar industries. They are there to make money. Money. Okay? Money. And making money is a good business for these guys. Because I'm telling you, when I say billion-dollar industries, $1 billion. All you got to do is Google it, whatever platform you use, type it in there, and take a look at what they do and how they do it. All right. Take a look at their bottom line. And if their bottom line is so ginormous, as I'm already indicating, then that should tell you something about whether or not they're doing everything above board. So why do men have higher credit scores than women? In general, men use more credit and carry higher loans, which can lead to higher scores as long as these loans are managed responsibly and paid on time each month. And that's, again, a no-brainer. Got to make sure that you're managing them properly and paying on time. Two areas are the biggest. That's always the manner in which you pay, meaning on time, and also your utilization. You got to make sure that you're balancing that utilization properly. They do have that wheel, and I'm sure some of you have probably seen that wheel where it has 5 areas of what you should be protecting. But 2 of those areas are your most important, and that's paying on time and managing. But here's where, again, the controversy for me comes in play. All right, here's where, for me, again, everyone has their own. Every organization would probably say, no, it's not that. It's not. It's multiple factors that play in. But the biggest issue that I can throw out there that is concrete with all of the customers and all of the opportunities that I've had to invest multiple decades into looking into that, it's the way that it is now being reported by those various institutions and how they're using now high-tech weaponry. It's not a person who sits back and analyzes your credit, your spending behavior, your spending pattern. It is an algorithm. Okay, it's really important to understand that. It's a game you're playing, but obviously the producers or the manufacturers of this game are changing the rules, moving the board around at their convenience. And even though we have Congress to manage and oversee, and we have an institution like the CFPB, which is the Consumer Financial Protections Bureau, to also impose fines and fees, if a business can turn around and write that off, going back to that charge-off question that the young lady posed earlier, then how are they being impacted? They're not. They're being incentivized to do more. So it's just important to understand that. All right. So this gets deep, and I'm not trying to overwhelm you. What I'm trying to do is excite you, get you so excited that you go, wait a minute, let me take a look at my credit report. Because if this brother is talking about all of this, and again, if there is, challenge it. So conversely, can you advise on ways to increase experience score? I'm at 590. The best thing that I can tell you about that particular question, Ms. Hankins, is check to make sure that your payment history is intact. Okay, how often are you making those on-time payments? If you're making those on-time payments on a regular, also look at your utilization, how high or how low it is. If you're maxed, and again, I'm telling you, this is not a detriment or anything. This is a great conversation. If you're maxed and you're not bringing that down to at least, you're not freeing up at least 77% of that credit. Now, the standard is 70%. They tell you on that chart, that wheel, 70%. But if you're not bringing it down to at least 23% on all those obligations that are credit related in the sense that they have a revolving balance. Okay, so that means it has to be something like a credit card. It's not your student loans. It's not your mortgage, or again, rent should be on there, which it's not any of those types of obligations, not your auto loan, because those are not revolving, but your credit cards, depending on how many of those you have, that's where you can make the biggest return on your investment by doing those two things. Obviously, making sure you're paying on time and watching that utilization. I'm going to add a third to that, is making sure that you know when they're reporting it to Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. If they tell you how quickly can a credit score be raised, I'll get back to you on that one, Tyrone. Nice to see you, family. If they tell you that they're reporting on, say, the 10th, you should wait technically about 5 to 7 business days till that reporting actually hits the credit report. If it doesn't hit the credit report, therein lies a violation. And this is what's happening to multiple people. So this is why you're not seeing that score go in that direction in which it should, which is, again, just as fast as it goes down when you get a negative for a late payment or for all the other multiple things that might hit that, it should go up just as fast. and it doesn't. And it doesn't go up just as fast due to, as I stated earlier, that algorithm issue. And that's another topic that we'll be talking about. But as I stated, two things: making sure that you're paying on time, checking that utilization. And now you're going to have to get into, this is the third, now you're going to have to get into tracking it. Whether you use a piece of paper or whether you contact me and I give you a spreadsheet, that would help you track it like a professional. All right. You got to remember, you're the CEO of your household. So getting back to the other question, how do I raise that credit score, or how quickly? There is no speeding bullet. And I'm just going to have to say it. There is no quickly. There are fraudulent means out there. Yes. But there is no quickly. You got to put in that work. You got to have somebody who's going to coach you through some of those challenges and those difficulties that will come up, just like with everything else. Stephen Curry didn't get to be a good three-point shooter because he just said, oh, how can I get there the quickest way? Doesn't happen. LeBron James and all of the experts in their category, Tom Brady, they didn't get to be the GOATs of their situations or their expertise because they got there the quickest way. No, it's the work you put in that will give you the reward that you are seeking to get out. All right. And that's just the truth. And I'm here to tell the truth. And I know you're looking at that. Did he ask his own question? I'm going to be honest with you. No, I found out just recently, too, that I have a cousin who's also named Tyrone Glover. And it's weird to say my own name. But yes, that's from cousin. Cousin, I appreciate you and I love you. All right. So again, conversely, if you are someone who avoids credit, it can hurt you because you won't have a credit history. So don't avoid something that you should be taking part of. You're taking part of a history anyway. So why not make sure that your financial history is also solid as well? How many cards should a person have? So a single person should have roughly between 5 and 8 credit products. All right. If you're more than that, you got to make sure that you're managing them properly. But a single person should have anywhere between 5 and 8 credit products. Now, credit products are, again, diversifying. You have a loan, you got some student loans, you have, but that question was more to the credit cards. So again, if you can manage them properly, you can have as many as you want, but I'm going to be conservative and I'm going to tell you that you should be allocating and only using those cards for those specific understandings. So 5 to 8 credit products should balance out and give you a nice credit mix. But if you have to get more credit cards, that's for you to decide and you to determine. Just manage them accordingly and allocate them also equally. If you're a family of 4, clearly credit products, anywhere from 8 to 12 credit products. But clearly, if you need to have more credit cards, by all means, just manage them properly. And if you are meeting those understandings, again, I'm going to keep reiterating this because it's really important. Paying on time. Don't call them and tell them, oh, I'm going to have whatever the issue, certain circumstances. Yes, that's a nice gesture, of course. But make sure that, again, you're paying on time. Calling them is not going to stop the late fee. It's just letting them know that you are a conscientious person and you are giving them heads up that you might not be meeting your obligation. Got to remember, again, you're talking to people who have almost zero impact on the decision that's going to be made. I'm sure you're feeling that and you're experiencing that now. Most of these calls are being answered by someone in a foreign country. Not to say nothing about opportunities that businesses offer foreign countries. But sad to say, they don't deal with the facts. They're going to give you a understanding that they themselves have received from the superiors or the higher ups. Is it important to pay your credit at a certain time? So is it important to pay your credit at a certain time? You have a due date, and that due date more or less is what dictates the credit obligation. So if you got into a credit obligation and it was due on the first is your cycle, and it's a 30-day cycle. So they're going to always throw that out there. There's 30-day cycles, 30-day cycles. Pretty simple if everyone does the math, but they attempt to make it more complicated. So first of the month, 30 days, as long as you meet that first of the month understanding, whether it be, again, revolving is different because that price, not the price, but the amount you use is going to go up and down depending on how much you use. Auto loan or that which is fixed, it's going to be the same every single month. You just have to pay it on time. So you can't make very much bang for your buck if you make 2 or 3 car payments prior to. Yes, will it bring down the price? Of course, but that interest rate's more likely going to stay. I usually pay at least 5 days before it's due. That's great. That means that you're giving them 5 more days to use your money to obviously do whatever it is that they do. It's fantastic. If you can pay that and you can be on time prior to, what you have to make sure is that they are reporting it as agreed. You have to call your credit card company and you have to ask them, when do you report? Now, this is not just to your credit card company, but you have to call all of your credit obligations and ask them, when do you report? I need to know that you're reporting it so that when I use my credit product after that waiting period, because again, this is important to understand. If your due date is on the 5th, you should wait at least 5 business days. So of course, if they tell you your due date is on the 5th and they're going to report on the 9th, that's 4 days. So it's fine. You can wait, but again, 1 more day. But again, wait this time frame and then hold them to that because that is a contractual understanding. All right. After that 5th day or that 6th day, you're free to use your product. That means you paid on time and your utilization got reflected according to how you brought it down. And this is where we get hit all the time. We get hit because, and there's nothing wrong with that. We have to use our product. And since we don't, nothing wrong. I'm not faulting anyone. I'm educating everyone. We get hit with the fact that we have to use our product so very frequently after we have made that payment. And it's, again, okay. So that's where they have now taken the liberty of giving Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian equally the understanding of, oh, you know what? Yeah, you can just report it when you want to. But they forget that they're equally in a contractual relationship with us, the consumer, as well. And even though they might be telling them, oh, you can report it whenever you want to, they're giving us a specific day of when it actually is supposed to hit that credit report. So if you use your product, say after the 5th, and you're thinking, oh, everything is good, and then they don't report it until 5, 10, 15. We found out that sometimes it's up to 28 days later. So you say again, look at this. You maxed out. Let's go that way. You maxed out. Then you brought it down, freed up a good 77% of your credit. You thought that you were going to get it reported as such. You are below every mechanism that is known out there. But then they wait until you use it, and then you use it, and then you use it, and then they report it when you're back up by 90%. You see how that can impact your utilization? Those 2 areas are worth 65% of your overall credit score. Those 2 areas alone. So if they're not reporting it, those 2 areas mean absolutely diddly. Mean nothing. So you got to make sure, you have no other choice but to make sure that what you're doing with and how you're using your credit, that it's equally being reported in the manner in which it represents you. Don't find out when you're looking for that mortgage. Don't find out when you're looking for that car. Don't find out when you're looking to get that next credit card. Don't find out when you're looking to get that next job. Don't find out unexpectedly about something that you should know about. You know, when your battery's getting low on your cell phone and you'll freak out. You should freak out when you see your credit score going in any other direction but up. Okay. Great questions. Thank you so much for the questions. I'm totally enjoying them. But again, please, more. I love this. This is how we engage. This is how we make you that savvy, that smart, that better consumer. Another misconception about Blacks is that we are financially irresponsible and evidenced by disproportionately low credit scores. But if you track the root cause of poor credit histories, you'll find a pattern of discriminatory practices. Okay, so again, this is it's laughable, but it's so serious that we have to take it serious. We're not irresponsible people. We're not. If you look at what's being done to hold so many who obviously do so much for this country, and it's just sad to have to not tear it apart, but dive so deep into it that it makes you realize, wow, there's some crooked stuff going on, but we're not going to be angry about it. We're not going to be mad about it. We're not going to go out and try to cause havoc in anything in that regard. That's not how we are. We're not that type of a people. And that's what's so great about being African-American, because we're not violent. We're not mean and angry and ornery. But again, some of us are, but for the most part, we're not. And I think that's what's the biggest fear of why this country can't move forward in its practices, because too many who have been in power, which primarily Caucasian males, again, they're so fearful of thinking that we're going to enact the same horror that they have opposed upon us for so long. And that's not nowhere near the case. So they draw up these narratives that we're irresponsible, that we don't know how to work, we're lazy, that we're not from the countries that we say we are. Again, going to President Obama. We don't have to lie. We don't have to cheat. We don't have to steal. To again, as Reverend Al said, all we need you to do is get up off our necks, because we can do everything we need to do all on our own. So in America, we like to think that everyone has an equal opportunity to succeed. That mediocrity, skills, and effort eliminates bias. You've heard that pull yourself up by the bootstraps tropes. That all comes down to this. If you work hard enough and save, you too can be financially secure, even rich. And that is so true. If you put in that work, and now this is not work that you do for your employer, because we already know what that more or less manifests. It's not going to manifest much. Basically looking at where the majority of a lot of us work, which is, again, these low-wage working places. If you are fortunate enough to be in those positions where you're in Silicon Valley, where you're working for these fantastic, wonderful, super companies that take care of you, that's beautiful. And we applaud those companies that do that for their employees. But if you're unfortunate working in these circumstances where you have no unions, where you have no ability to demand or request upon your employer certain protections that should come with working. And I just don't understand how the richest nation in the world can't make sure that that happens. But those of us who are smart, bright, intelligent enough, savvy enough, skillful with our verbiage to come out and let you know, you will not suffer unless you want to suffer on your own, because there are those of us out there that are looking to make sure that you're going to be okay financially. I can't make sure that your life is going to be okay, but I can definitely give you every tool, resource, knowledge, and understanding that I can give you to make sure that you're financially okay. All right, but the legacy of slavery endures, and Blacks must make extraordinary effort to overcome the discrimination that is often hidden in policies, or in the case of credit scoring product that proposed to be a racial neutral. All right, the purpose of it is to be racial neutral. The purpose of it is to be race neutral. My apologies. That's it. Just that simple. Race neutral. Please stop shaking your head thinking. Stop making excuses for that failure of Black people to lift themselves up. Again, I would love to know if I was making an excuse. I would love to know anybody else out there making an excuse. It's not an excuse. It's the pure fact of how these systems were designed. They were designed not to include. They were designed to exclude. They were putting up so many barriers, and they couldn't wait for technology to finally come into the arena that allowed for even more of it to be exposed. literally exposed. They put all of their bad, dirty laundry right out there. They go through the same understandings that anybody else does. They go to Congress, they have their meetings, they have their understandings, and then they get slapped on the wrist with a small little fine, and then they continue to keep moving on with the same discriminatory understandings. So we as people who see this so blatantly, all we have to do now is do what we should have been doing in the beginning, putting in that work, making sure that we're documenting our stuff, making sure that we're cataloging our stuff, making sure that we make that time every single day or every single week, whatever it is that you have available to put into making sure that your finances are A1. Because if you do that, I'm telling you, there's nothing that's going to hold you back. To this, I would argue, if you purposely or even unintentionally trip someone and he or she falls and gets hurt, you can't turn around and say, it's not your fault. You fell. You should have watched where you were going. America has got to stop tripping Black people. It's just that simple. Got to stop. Because this is the only way that we're going to move forward. And it's okay. We know what you're doing. We see what you're doing. We understand what you're doing. And now we're asking you, could you please just get up off our necks? Could you please stop tripping us? We get it now. We understand. It's for profit, and we're good with that. We don't mind adding to your coffers, but we now know that your coffers is getting abundantly overfilled with shenanigans, with tomfoolery. I love that word. It's just a great word. So with things that we know are hindering. And why would you not want to include us into this massive understanding of how we all could benefit from proper policies, proper understanding of making sure that this company is doing what they have been entrusted to do? I don't find that very challenging. I don't even find that very hard. I find it rather laughable, again, that we can't. We allow those who come up with certain ideas to, again, ideas are great. We want R&D. We want these types of understandings. But then they get so large that they then dictate policy. That's not how it was designed. I'm almost certain our founding fathers did not say, yes, by the way, we want insurrections, and we want financial fraud, and we want horrible harm to children, and we want massive guns and pollution. This is probably, I'm sure, while they were thinking up America, this is probably what they were thinking. They said, yeah, let's have all of these things. Let's also equally ruin the solar, our climate. Let's just destroy it in every fashion known to man, because we exploit it. We exploit everything. But I don't want to get off in a tangent, because that's easy to do. But you can see where a lot of this is going. All right, wait for it. Look at the calculation of credit scores, which helps lenders assess risks when granting credit, issuing autos, or deeming someone responsible enough to rent an apartment. Credit scores typically go up from 300, which is bad, to 850, which is excellent. The most widely used is the FICO. Its chief rival is the Vantage, and a scoring model that is a joint effort by the three major credit bureaus. And again, I'm going to highlight that: Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. So these agencies, and I always have to throw that word out, bureau, because as I stated, I cannot take all credit for all this information. This information is gathered from a variety of different sources, and I'm telling you, it hits home so well. You just need someone who can elaborate, put it out there so well, so that anybody can walk away and go, I need to go and check my credit. It's just that simple. I need to make sure that I'm managing my credit properly, because if you are, you should be in that 850 range. Excellent. You should be getting things at 1% and 2%. Don't think it's going to be zero, because that's not going to happen. But again, if the United States government is giving money away at zero, which they're going to be raising those interest rates, and it's perfectly fine, don't be freaking out. All right. Yes, freak out at the grocery store, no question, because those prices. But a lot of what's going on at the grocery stores, a lot of what's going on at your favorite stores, a lot of what's going on is gouging. And I'm now asking of our state officials to do their jobs, which is making sure that you have agents who can go out and make sure that the Chevron or the BP or the Shell or whatever business that might be out there is not overcharging just for the fact that they can. So it's really important to understand a lot about what this all ties into. But yes, these are the major two, FICO and Vantage. And you'll see them on your credit reports, whether you're getting them from annual credit report or whether you're getting them from a third party. Those third party organizations, please, again, be very, very careful. Identity IQ, Credit Karma, Credit Sesame. These are not bad products, and I'm not going to ever talk bad about a product, but I'm going to tell you that, again, these are products that are for profit, okay? For profit. They're there to make money. They're to make money, and it's okay to make that money. Perfectly fine. But again, if you're doing your due diligence, you will probably see that those scores and that what they're reporting might not jive with what you should be doing yourself. Okay, just because it says one thing may not necessarily be. All right, so before the advent of the 3-digit credit score, and this is, again, so important, creation, because we used to have that same letter scoring that the United States still has, AAA, AA, single A, triple B, and so forth and so on. They came up with this scheme to get you away from thinking about, well, if I move to a C, I can still get this, that, and this. If I'm at a double C, but clearly if I'm at a D or an F, of course, that makes perfect sense. You'll work harder to graduate and get to those higher credit understandings letter-wise. But if we can trick you and fool you into thinking that this 3-digit number system is much, much better by, again, not a person. Not a person. A person is not evaluating your credit situation. These are algorithms. This is a program that has been programmed by someone to put in multiple characters and criteria that are designed to hurt, all right? Hurt those of us who live in certain communities, cities, states. It's really important to understand this. Ethnicities, all right? It's really important to understand that. So the 3-digit credit score, a consumer loan depended in large part on a face-to-face application process. What stood between you and a home or an auto loan was a white male lending officer. This is why my grandmother, who obsessed about her paying bills habit, again, literally made sure, took care of, always made sure, took care of. But as it states, what stood in the way was often a male white lending officer who's going to read that data, who's going to look at that data, and again, already have a preconceived notion. I have a very ethnic name. Now, it's funny that it's not even an ethnic name. Tyrone is not an ethnic name. That's a, if I'm not mistaken, an Irish name. So how did it get so attached to a negative understanding when it comes to anything? I'm just a very clever, smart, intelligent, educated, savvy individual that no matter what someone tries to make a joke or a laughter about my name, I'm good. I'm so comfortable in my own body, thanks to the goodness of that creator, that it doesn't matter. So even when that name appears on someone's understanding, you put me in front of them, oh, it's a no-brainer. It's a done deal. And that's the part that I want all of us to take away as well. It's not what's on paper. It's how you deliver what's on that paper. And if there's something on that paper that is incorrect, you have to go to that great length of correcting your name, making sure that it is who you are. Because that white male, and sometimes sad to say, that black male or that Latino male or that Asian male, again, they already have their preconceived understandings as well. All right. So the credit scores are supposed to eliminate bias. the 1974 Equal Credit Opportunities Act barred credit score systems. They barred them, but yet how are they still operating in full effect today? All right, from using information such as sex, marital status, national origin, religion, or race. But again, these systems are being exploited because, again, they're using not these criteria to discriminate against you. They're using where you live. They're using your name because your parents decided to give you a name that, again, fits to your personality or whatever. They're using that. They're using a multitude. Again, an algorithm is not going to just be one or two characteristics and that's it. No, it's tied to so many things for them to make sure that you will not get what you are entitled to because you are a citizen of this country and they have to follow certain rules that they have been more or less predetermined to follow by the creation of their business. And they're just not doing it. Just that simple. They're just not doing it. All right. So how has your race or identity shaped your financial decision making? That question is a good question. And then I would love it if you could, at some point, if you're feeling up to answering it, shoot me an email, leveragecreditrecovery@gmail.com. You can also send it to my coachcredit411@gmail.com as well. I pose this question for the reason because it's important. I want you to start digging deeper into your financial understanding. Is everything working out in the manner in which you have predetermined, which you have decided? And if it's not, it's time to find someone. It's time to find a person just like myself who doesn't mind. I do this because I love this. I'm a fanatic about credit. I am so connected to it that I do way more than I should. It's kind of insane that someone loves this topic so much, just like that. It's what I like. Just like we have individuals who like football, just like we have individuals who like basketball. They know every team, they know every stat. I don't know every team, every stat about what goes on in this credit world, but I tell you one thing, I know some stuff about what goes on in that business world that ties into this credit world that will surprise you. Okay, so moving on, but definitely, how has your race or identity shaped your financial decision making? All right, really a great question. Pose it for that reason. So shoot me an email and I'll definitely get back to you on how we can assist you with moving forward. Hey, I thank you as well, my brother Tyrone. It's always a pleasure. Appreciate every time that you stop by and show us that love. Thank you so much. All right, so on the path to achieving a good credit score is a history of responsible credit use. The ability to get a mortgage and pay it on time can have an extremely positive impact on your credit score. Blacks still have to contend with redlining, a rating system endorsed by a federal government agency, the Home Owners Loan Corp, that designated Black neighborhoods as too risky for mortgage lenders. And this is kind of crazy. Again, Black neighborhoods too risky? No, they're not risky. They're opportunities. And if you put those opportunities to good use with making sure that Blacks could have the loans and the opportunities that you would put into other neighborhoods, we'd surpass all of these crazy, wild notions. So a 2018 study by the National Community Reinvestment Coalition found that while over redlining is legal today, have been prohibited under the Fair Housing Act of 1968, enduring effort is still evidenced in the structure of U.S. cities. Access to credit is an pointing of economic inclusion and wealth building in the United States, as clearly this report says. So again, don't take my word for it. Go back to this report. Take a look at this report. What is this report actually telling us? I can tell you right now, it's telling us that there's a lot of shenanigans going on. It's telling us that there's a lot of tomfoolery going on. And for what reason? None. Absolutely none. All because they can, and we're not doing what we should be doing to make sure that they're not doing it to us. It's just that simple. If you document your credit understanding, if you're putting this down in the manner in which we've already and will continue to describe and prescribe for you, if you're doing that, if there are any challenges in that credit report and you're challenging them to the effectiveness of a resolution. If somebody tells you, oh, we'll get back to you, 24 hours has passed, 72 hours has passed, a week has passed, and this is what they're betting on, that you won't do your follow-up. But if you do that follow-up and you're on it, and then you have to take that necessary legal action, well, you should want somebody who definitely can stand right with you and say, yes, these are the things that we have seen and these are the things that we have experienced. This is not a feeling. No, this is what's actually going on. Watch what I'm telling you. It's going to spin your head. I'm telling you right now, I've seen individuals, I've helped individuals get out of $40,000 credit cards. I've watched things drop off of credit reports, all again by staying diligent. So to fill some of the, would you mind sharing your credit score and how you got to this score? Well, my credit score right now is 682. 682. And I take risk with my credit score. And the only reason why I take risk with my credit score is because I'm the one who is, again, going through a lot of what you're going through, but I do it because I need to feel the same impact. I need to see why we're all in these horrible situations. When I say missing payments, no, I don't do that because I understand that impact. But will I see what a charge-off does? Absolutely. How much do I lose from a charge-off? Will I see that if I know that I've taken care of an obligation and these creditors are just doing what they're doing just because? Oh, I'm a fighter. I'm someone who's going to stick with the plan. And the plan is to get them to see that equity going across the board. So 682 is where I am, and it could be a lot higher. No question about it. It could be a lot higher. But I take risks because I have to see what's actually happening to a client. If a client tells me one thing, yes, I'm going to take their word for it. If it's a situation that I've never been posed with, I'm going to pose it to my own credit report and see what actually happens. I had a consumer who literally called a credit reporting agency. She's was in the process of looking for a home for some strange, odd reason. After she got off the phone with them, a day or two later, her credit score was 0. She didn't know why. She had no clue. She went back and looked at some of the things. She reached out to me. We were able to, again, find out why that went to 0. I put myself through the whole thing. Wanted to find out why. How is that even possible? Did the exact same thing that she had did. I didn't go to 0, but I wanted to find out how that actually took place. But orchestrated a nice, beautifully well-descripted letter about what and how they were violating this young lady's consumer rights. And within a short period of time, not only did she get back to that 720, I think they gave her another 40 points. All right, so my credit score, your credit score, it's all impacted on how we take the matter serious. And as I stated, I do things to my credit. I'm not out looking for loans. I'm not out looking for autos. I'm not out looking for any of that stuff. There's really not a need for me at this particular point. And will I at some point be in the process of a home? Yes, absolutely. I'm in the process actually of, inquiring if something pops up in that price range. But in New York State or in New York City, or not even New York City, I'm about 25 minutes away from New York City. In the area in which I live, astronomical prices. Not just the price of the home, but just thinking about the cost of what the infrastructure underneath that home, within that home, is also equally going to cost. So it's really important to balance all of that out, making sure that if you do happen to take on a fixer upper, or if you buy brand new. So that's the reason why my credit score is where it is, and easily. I don't have a lot of credit products as a single person. I actually have only 3 credit products that I'm currently managing right now, and it's doing phenomenal. I can see the growth in it, but as I have already indicated, I can see the hindrances of that credit score going to a much higher level, all because of how they're not reporting in the manner in which they should. That's the biggest blockage. If you really take into consideration what I've talked about this entire segment, that's what's causing the biggest blockage. They're not reporting your credit in the manner in which you are truly using your credit. They're not reporting your utilization, which is, again, a very huge percentage that adds to that credit report. They're taking up to 28 days later to report what your actual utilization was. And they're using, as I stated before, various other methods to hold your credit score down. I lived in California, had no problem. I was always in the 726s. And I lived in Simi Valley, California. All right. Simi Valley, one of the Anglo-Saxon areas of our nation. And I moved to Yonkers, and I ran into a bunch more problems than I did in Simi Valley. So I'm just going to leave that there. What's the best way to get approved for? I just heard about Helco. Helco. Do you advise them? I don't, and I just heard about that, but I'm so glad that you brought that again. You a fantastic question. I can look into this for you, but definitely send me an email. I really would love to continue to further this conversation with you. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm definitely looking at that for you. I know that as far as the student loans are concerned, if you are in a forbearance, which yesterday was the last day, if you weren't in a forbearance, you still probably have a good 2 weeks because the government will give you 2 weeks. These student loans are going to slowly start seeing themselves get reduced. But if you're in that forbearance, $50,000 already is what they're talking about. So definitely your student loans, start looking into. If you need that number, I can provide it to you. Send me an email about your student loans. I really want to make sure that you can capitalize on, again, they falsified, lied. They told you that jobs were going to be out there, and those jobs were not out there. It's just that simple. If you take it back to when the student loans became so important, go to college, rack up debt, to almost $3 trillion. Come on now. Come on. Really? And you are what? A barista at Starbucks? You're a cashier at Target or Walmart? And you're sitting on 30, 40, 50, 60, 100, $200,000 worth of student loan debt? So I'm not going to elaborate any more on that. This was a beautiful, fantastic show. The questions that popped up were amazing. I'm going to leave you guys with this here, annualcreditreport.com, the source for your free credit report. Please go get your credit report. Go get your credit report. If you are unsure how to read it, how to analyze it, how to break it down, please, I'm asking you, do yourself this year the importance of making sure that you are in a financially stable and a great relationship when it comes to your credit. If you do, I'm telling you, it's going to pay off for decades to come. Credit inequality matters. It contributes to the wealth gap. And part of closing that gap is knowledge. All right. Acknowledging and eliminating systems that intentionally or not have been trapping or tripping up blacks. All right. We really have to do a better job in this area. We really, truly have to. All right. So here we have it. Email leveragecreditrecovery@gmail.com. I'm newly to the TikTok area. And with that being newly to the TikTok area, I created a coachcredit411@gmail.com. Hit me up on my cell with a text, 805-428-9424. And as always, leveragecreditrecovery.com. That's our website. By all means, definitely check us out. I can't thank you enough. As I say, always, it's super cool to be able to do what I do in this fashion. It is one of the best things that I always look forward to when it comes to my Tuesdays. And for you, I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. I want everybody to continue to be safe. Again, there's a lot of stuff going on out in the world today, and it's all good. But again, we care about you. We love you. We appreciate you. And we thank you. We thank you for being who you are. To those amazing women out there, continue to keep doing to that justice that will make it to the Supreme Court, whoever they elect. Women control, they dominate, they rule. They are the best providers of this country. Let's give them the opportunity to do what they need to do. And as a proud Black man who supports all our women, congratulations to all the success. Please continue to, as Mika always says, know your value. To my Black brothers and sisters out there, again, please, let's get on point. Let's start doing what we're supposed to be doing. It's just that simple. I love you. I appreciate you. Everybody continue to be safe. Until next time.
We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward-thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.